why the Atari 400 matters, and why the 400 Mini needed Star Raiders.
Into the vertical line, Generation Atari.
Back in 1978, when the Atari 400 and 800 were still nicknamed Colleen and Candy, the Atari 400 was not a computer. It was a games machine created as an upgrade to the faltering Atari VCS, designed to be compatible with the new home computer line represented by the Atari 800. The core team of Jay Miner, Joe DeCur, George McLeod, Doug Neubauer, and Alan Miller designed two compatible machines that could take on the computer and games market at the same time. While the 400, or Candy, was hardware compatible with the 800, or Colleen, it did not have a keyboard. It was purely meant to play a new generation of cartridge-based games. But then something happened that changed the course of computer and video games forever. In his spare time, Doug Neubauer designed and programmed Star Raiders. Star Raiders was a sophisticated space battle simulator with a pseudo 3D interface like nothing that had ever been seen on a microcomputer before. It also sealed the fate of the Candy Atari 400. The game was so sophisticated it required a keyboard to play. That meant that Candy would need a keyboard so it could play Star Raiders. Soon there was no more games machine, and the Atari 400-800 computer line was born. In 1980, Star Raiders quickly became one of the first must-have computer games. In fact, the Atari 800 my brother and I got for Christmas in 1983 was bought secondhand from an aerospace engineer who bought it in 1980 specifically to play Star Raiders. So then the Atari 400 was literally born to play Star Raiders. It's unfortunate that the Atari 400 Mini was not designed to play Star Raiders. It can be configured to play Star Raiders, but can't play it out of the box. It includes the game Star Raiders 2, which is not actually Star Raiders 2, but a game designed as a movie tie-in for The Last Starfighter. The real Star Raiders 2 remained unreleased until a few years ago, and it also requires a keyboard to play. Not having Star Raiders on the Atari 400 Mini is like the NES Mini without Super Mario Bros., or the Sega Genesis Mini without Sonic the Hedgehog. It's not simply a game, it's a groundbreaking piece of interactive entertainment that needs to be preserved for generations to come. One hopes that further revisions and updates of the Atari 400 Mini will be designed to play Star Raiders out of the box, or maybe that will be saved for an Atari 800 Maxi. No matter how it's done, the cat is now out of the bag. More people are aware of the Atari 400 because of the Mini, but they still don't know the reason why it even exists. It exists because of the brilliant game Star Raiders. Hopefully, in time, that game will be restored and acknowledged as computer gaming's first killer app. So, let's fix it. Let's install Star Raiders on the Atari 400 Mini. Find your favorite Atari preservation website. Mine is AtariMania.com. Just to be legit, you should probably already own a copy of Star Raiders, or at least own it on a collection like the Atari 50th. Just for the fun of it, why not download the unreleased Star Raiders 2 as well? Find the manual page with the keyboard instructions and print them out. Or better yet, find your original manual. Step 4. Plug your USB stick into your computer and create a Star Raiders folder in the root directory. Step 5. Unzip Star Raiders and Star Raiders 2 and copy those new unzipped folders into the Star Raiders folder on your thumb drive. Now, go to your Atari 400 Mini, plug the thumb drive into the back USB slot. Plug the CX stick into the front USB slot number 1. Go find an old USB keyboard and plug it into front USB slot number 2. Get those printed instructions and keep them handy. Now, be sure to completely power on and off your Atari 400 Mini. You may have to plug in the USB power as well. Find the USB drive in the carousel menu. Click the red fire button on the CX stick and navigate to the Star Raiders directory that we just copied. Find the Star Raiders ROM and press the right front button on the CX stick to load it. When it loads, press both front buttons to open the virtual keyboard. Find the Start button at the bottom of the virtual keyboard and press the red fire button on the CX stick. Press the two front buttons again to close the mini keyboard. Game starts. Here's a little primer on playing Star Raiders. Press G on your USB keyboard to bring up the galactic map. Find a group of enemies and press H, hyperspace, to launch your ship there. Quickly press F to get the front view of the ship. Then press C to bring up the targeting computer. When you arrive, press 3 to give your ship 30% thrust. You can press the numbers 1 through 0 to get 10 through 100% thrust. Navigate and shoot the enemies. Warning, do not press the right top button on the CX stick, or your game will reset back to the title screen. This can be easily pressed, so you should be careful. It may not be as good as having it on the 400 mini menu by default, but you can still now experience Star Raiders, the game that was responsible for the creation of the Atari 400 computer.
We were children of the Silicon Revolution, an X generation conscripted to fight the console and home computer wars. A product of an analog 70s childhood, we came of digital age in the 80s, believing we could affect the world 8 bits at a time. Armed with joysticks, full-stroke keyboards, Jolt Cola, and MTV haircuts, we proceeded into the vertical blank. There, we stayed up late at night, devising incantations from D&D rulebooks and beginners' all-purpose symbolic instruction code. Video games were the match, and programming was the fuse, as the infinite possibilities of the digital world exploded into the internet age to come. We are Generation Atari.
Into the vertical